Welcome back to Fighters Drinking Coffee. This is episode 7. Today we're going to start off. Scott just got back from competing at the IBJJF International Open in Chicago. So we're going to kind of start off there. Scott, let's get going.
Yeah, dude. I was just in Chicago it was a quick trip, dude. I drove my ass up there from DC. Even though I like road trips, I just threw everything in the Raptor and just hauled ass at like 6 a.m. My sister and her family lives up there.
Luckily, it's an open road almost the whole
It
way
is.
there.
Yeah, it is. And like I'll compare it to driving to Kentucky, which I've done countless times, which is driving to the West Virginia mountains, which is cool. It's fun.
Yeah.
Like I like that too, but it's I'll just put it this way. I've gotten, no joke, like frozen in the middle of the winter, like crazy winter storms multiple times in West Virginia. So I've had to stay for the night because the roads were insane. This is a true story.
Because you couldn't get over the mountains.
That's why I bought the truck.
Yeah.
Because I was like, dude, I can't. I got stuck in a sports car in the middle of the winter. It wasn't ideal. And everything worked out. I got out unscathed, completely unscathed. But it was like talk about like being anxious and nervous for like a fight, dude. Like I was anxious and nervous for my fucking car. I was like locked in, central nervous system like firing for like 9 hours. Like 5 hours. Like by the time you get to West Virginia, you're like halfway there. But also in the middle of the winter because it's treacherous. You like slow down, but you also need to keep kind of a certain rate so the tires don't get cold. It's too much. So anyways, I bought the truck. But yeah, so I drove up, packed all my shit, and headed out early Friday. Got in the afternoon. I was in constant contact with the team about like the road trip, my what I was going to eat that day, my weight. As I'm driving up, by the way, I had packed up, like I had cooked a ribeye the night before. I'm gonna find a way every time we record an episode to like work in steak. We should. It's like I'm kind of tired of talking about it.
You're working on a sponsorship from Big Steak?
Fuck yeah, actually, never mind. I changed my mind. We're definitely gonna work on steak every episode. But dude, I'd like sliced up into like chunks, and it's packed it in like a Tupperware or whatever. And I had breakfast early as fuck. Crammed down like a smoothie, so I got like some carbs. This, I think we just talked about this, but I was like still kind of like cutting weight a little bit. Everything worked out good, and we can get into that in a minute too, and how well me and Asim worked together to make the planets align for a good weight cut, keeping me like fed, and I felt strong in the tournament, and getting all that shit too. But nonetheless, like I'd taken like probably like 16 ounces, like a full ass steak, to slice that bitch up. And that was what I ate on the road trip. This is like a 10-hour drive, man.
Like instead of jerky?
Yes, instead of jerky. I had some
jerky.
Leftover jerky. And perhaps a topic for another day, but I could spend a ton of time talking about strategies when you go to like a rest stop or like a gas station or whatever, and what snacks, what road shit to buy when you're like kind of a neurotic person about what you eat. And you're like, I don't want that. This has some bullshit that's going to like screw my nutsack over as I age. It's like, this has got oils that are evil. Safe? Yeah, for real. Like, I mean, there's like a way you can do it. Like, for what it's worth, in 2025, gas stations are a lot more well-stocked with like food you can actually eat that's not gonna like, whatever. Yeah. You get the point. But so like, I was like, to make sure I wasn't eating some bullshit, but maintaining some nutrition. Remember, we're trying to go into the division as high as possible my weight. Like, I'm trying to like still keep my goal to be like at 162.5 as close as possible to that when I step on the scale. Step off, hydrate, throw in like a pound of water, and then be over by my first match. But so anyways, like I'm like munching on the steak as I drive. I get in there on Friday, check my weight, check in with the team. I'm texting my family a little bit. My sister's there. See my nieces and see my brother-in-law and all that. But I eat some kebab up in Chicago when I get there. I'm staying in like downtown Chicago. rice, meat. It checks all the boxes. It's like satisfying. It's like a warm meal. I basically ate like cold steak during the day, which again, and I don't mind it. I'm kind of like at that point I'm like locked in. To me, it's just like fuel. I'm not even thinking about whether I'm going to enjoy it. Not that I didn't enjoy it, but I'm just like I'm munching on it. Who cares? It's the fuel. It's part of the job.
Yeah, but there's definitely a difference when you have like
a fucking plate
nice
of food,
warm food.
Yeah.
You're not sitting there just eating out of a bag, essentially.
It's a morale boost.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a morale boost. And this was like, anyway, we covered it ad nauseum, like in our last episode, but this is probably going to come up multiple times.
It's part of the process.
It's going to come up on this show, which is that this weight cut wasn't certainly not brutal in it at all. It was just well managed. It was like, you still got to think about these things. But yeah, dude, so I got there. I ate a whole plate of like a hot plate of food. It was great. And then, man, I just like passed out early Friday, Saturday, spent some time. My division wasn't until Sunday. It was a 2-day tournament. They do gi on Saturday, a little bit of gi on Sunday. Most of these IBJJF tournaments are gi.
Did you go to the venue on Saturday?
Nah. I thought about it, but I was just, fuck it, man. I was just like, take the day off. Saw my little nieces, saw my brother. Like my littlest niece had a soccer game, which was kind of funny to watch. But they hung out with them all day. Went back to my hotel, checked my way. I didn't stay with them because I just kind of like to be on my own before these things. It's just a little bit easier. So I like booked a hotel. My sister they were generously offering to have me, but of course I was just like, hey, thank you, but I need to be locked in on this. This is a solo mission for me.
I love you, sis, but I got
a job to do
this thing.
So yeah, dude. But anyways, so I go back to the hotel relatively early in the like late afternoon, early evening. Check my weight again. Have more kebab. At that point, like it's like I just ate the same thing twice, basically, because I knew I could eat it. I knew what was in it. I was like, this is pretty decent quality food. It's got carbs. It's got this. It's got that. We mapped out exactly how much I should eat, what I could or could not have, and then at that point, I was kind of like, all right, like I want to prioritize a little bit of hydration rather than like more food. So I ate like a light dinner, like 4 or 5 eggs, and then just drank sipped liquids, I should say. And by the way, I also did this because I didn't work out Saturday, and I had the option to do it, but I walked around a bunch, but it was like a cool-ish kind of day. It was kind of like I had to wear like a sweat. I put on a sweatshirt and a jacket over it just to like stay kind of warm, to get a little bit of like just to supplement or enhance the natural like weight fluctuation sweat process or whatever.
Get some thermogenics going.
Get some thermogenics going. I like sat in the hotel that night and I did kind of crank the heat up a little bit. I threw some sweatpants, sweatshirt on, covered myself in a couple blankets, and I wore a robe. It's like one of those hotels that had a robe, and I was pretty like layered up, and I was like, all right, I want to like see if I can break a little bit of a sweat without having to work the body. Just to like get that natural, like I'm used to that fluctuation normally because of training and all of that. So I wanted to like see if I could replicate that without having to like move around, like use my muscles at all really. But I ended up like, it was funny, like because I got to the hotel and I was like, man, maybe I was being a little too neurotic about weight. I don't want to miss weight.
Yeah.
And I was okay.
And you get a shot. You get one chance.
Yeah, dude. Like so I did that. I like sat there and I threw on like they had HBO Max at the hotel, so I just watched Eastbound and Down.
Nice.
I watched like there's episodes I've seen probably 1,000 times, but it still holds up. I started just watching episodes of Kenny Powers, and sat there and like I did that for about like 45 minutes to an hour. I was like I was hot. I was like, oh, I'm sweating. So I got off that. I checked. I did that for like 45 minutes. I checked my weight and I was like, damn, I'd lost a pound. I was like, sick, good. So then I was like rehydrating because I wanted to hydrate a bunch, but I was also kind of curious. I'm like, am I gonna sweat enough overnight? I didn't want to put myself into a jam Sunday day. My division was at like 2:30 local time, which is like 3 o'clock, my body's internal clock, right? They're an hour behind. So I had plenty of time, but also I didn't want to put myself in like a stressed out state where I'm like, fuck, dude, now I got to think about my weight again. Like, oh, Christ. So I was trying to stay ahead of that a little bit. Next day, got up at a decent hour, like, again, because my internal clock's an hour ahead. Like, getting up early there actually is easy for me because I usually get up kind of early anyways, but I want to get, like, a shit ton of sleep, too. The more I sleep, the more that just gives me time to do nothing and also sweat out. a little bit extra weight. So I slept like probably 9 hours, maybe 10 hours. I don't know, a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah, but whatever. I'm getting ready to go compete. It's not like I'm like, when I'm here, I'll wake up and I just like have shit to do like every day of my life. So, I'm getting up and I'm on the computer. I'm like, there's just too many things that are going to draw me in. Like over there, I have no like fewer distractions. So it was very like, it was kind of like, there's like a casual aspect of that, which is nice. And, got up early, checked the weight. I'm good. I think I'm like right at or like maybe slightly below where I wanted to be. Like I'm trying to be at like 62 or like maybe 61 high when I wake up in the morning, prior to like having some coffee and breakfast. And mind you, I'm also pretty confident that my scale is usually like a half pound. I always budget like a half pound.
You brought your scale.
I brought my scale, yes. I brought that scale right there. And it turns out like this, what I've learned is that scale might even be more like a pound heavier than the official scales at the IBJJF. But
I've noticed theirs tend to be a little light.
Which is like good to know. But again, in the sense of like just erring on the side of getting my weight cut done effectively, I'm like, all right, let's assume it's only a half pound over. And let's just stay on top of this. Data. Like every time I go to, okay, so I do all this, ate some breakfast, buy some extra waters and electrolyte drinks and all that. So I'm like nice and stocked for the tournament. I'm by myself for all of this, by the way. I drive to the venue a couple hours, 2 hours before. I get there, check my weight on the official scale. I'm good. I'm like, I think it said 161.8, which I was like, nice. All right, good. Like, it's not 162. It's not 162.5 for sure. But I'm like, all right, like I'm not like stressed. I can actually drink water right now. And I had like a good hour and a half or so before I even suspected in a situation where the IBJJF pulls the match forward, which like it happens. I suspected, I was like, all right, like just in case it happens, I'm well ahead of my schedule here. I'm going to get a good workout, or I'm going to get a good warm up in a, 30, 45 minutes or whatever. So I have some time to kill when I get there. Now at that point, I'm just kind of looking around trying to find my opponents. I'm like, where are these guys? Which I've like done, I did my research by like Thursday night or Friday morning, they draw out the bracket so you can see who you're competing against first. Yeah, I look these dudes up. I try to study them to the extent that I can. I looked at my first round guy, checked him out. No, so I'm like at the venue, I'm like looking around for him, like, where is this dude? Is he here yet? And then I scoped out who this other dude who ended up being my opponent in the finals, and looked him up. Spent a lot of time looking him up because he competes a lot. He competes at a high level quite a bit.
He had a lot of footage.
And he was the number 1 seed in the division. I was the number 2 seed. So like you never know. But I assumed like I looked. He wins a lot. Like he's good. So he's competed in ADCC, IBJJF a bunch of times, fights to win. Like and there's a lot of like flow grappling. There's a lot of data on this dude. So I looked him up and I was like, all right, this guy's pretty tough. He's good. There's a good shot I'm gonna end up facing this guy. Studied him too. So I'm also looking around for this guy. Whatever. Yeah, 30 minutes goes by. I say to myself, all right, it's time to like get moving. I start my warm up. Let's see. I think I got a little bit nervous the night before, a little bit. Day of, probably because a lot of the day of, I just like most of that morning, I just kind of sit around.
Yeah.
Because like, I'm not going to go do a bunch of other shit. I'm not going to I guess I could, but like I didn't really have much to do. I'm like, I'm just going to kill some. I probably killed like 3 hours just like fucking sitting around doing nothing, checking weight, fucking around on my phone, maybe more eastbound and down, just to distract myself because I just sat still. And there, like your mind kind of starts to like go in multiple directions or whatever. I mean, I've been through this so many times. Like those impulses, I'm familiar with them. Like any nerves or stress or anxiety, it's normal to me. So I'm like, oh, okay, here it is, no big deal. And I just kind of sat with it, like I ordinarily do, and just don't let it bother me.
Do you find do you find that you're more nervous before you get to the venue? Like when you're just like in that time frame beforehand.
Yep. It's a good question, man. Like when I first started doing this, I remember I would get nervous the moment I like booked an event. Like whether I'm registering for the IBJJF or like I like contact a supervisor, like Fight to Win or someone, and I'm like, oh, okay, what's going on? And then I would have like broader windows of nerves for competition. Like it would be extended. Like if I booked an event like a month in advance, I would think about it. It would be intermittent, of course, but like waves of like, oh shit, we're doing this would like kind of come around. But as time has gone on, like the periods where I feel that have gotten shorter and shorter and shorter, and a lot easier to manage.
Yeah.
You just get used to it. You're just like, oh, I'm going to go compete. There will be, to me, I can't, you know, it's gotten much simpler. I don't get as stressed out over this shit as I used to. I have also hardwired my brain into being like, you know, I'm doing this is my job. Like, this is part of the game. It's going to make you better. So it's kind of like you just trick yourself, I suppose, or convince yourself that you're like, these things are just like good impulses. It's like, you're going to go do something that's challenging. It's like, this is a positive thing. If you get these feelings, it means like, you know, you care about it or whatever. So it's like, it's ultimately all good.
Yeah. You want to, being anxious isn't necessarily a bad thing. Or
right.
Being nervous about it isn't it. Cause yeah, like you said, it means you care.
Yeah, dude.
You care about the outcome.
Yeah, man. You know, it's like I've heard many other like athletes and multiple sports. Everyone kind of talks about the psychology of this stuff. I think it's like one of the best descriptions of it that I heard at some point was, I don't even know who said it. Maybe it was Jocko. I'll say it's Jocko because Jocko rules. But like, it's just like your body, it's your central nervous system telling you you're going to go into like a fight or flight situation. Cool, and we're going to fight. So it's like, I'm not going to fight. I'm going to fight.
You're preparing.
Preparing for battle.
Normally, when you have that fight or flight moment, it's a lot of people experience it instantaneously. But we're knowingly signing up to go and fight, and then so you have this like you have a longer period of time to know that you have to have that response.
Yeah,
so yeah. I was listening to something the other day where people were talking about this, and actually about like in real combat situations, which what we do is not combat, but it's
for sure.
But like people, when they know they're going to go to battle, they're sitting there and they're able. You have the guys that are really nervous. You have the guys that are like kind of stoic, but like everybody knows what's about to happen. Like, and everyone can kind of feel it. And so, like, there's still some of that with this. Obviously, the stakes are much different. Much less
jiu-jitsu.
on our end. It's just jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, there's definitely, like, that. And you can tell when you're with your team or, you know, warming up or with your group of guys or whatever, when you're just in a warm-up room, if it's a super fight. And, like, you can tell, like,
that room is anxious as hell.
Energy.
You can sense it. You can sense it.
And especially like
it's palpable.
We were just, you were there coaching, I was there competing at Copa Elite, and like you could feel the tension in the room as more and more people went out, like change, right? So like as the number of people waiting to compete reduced because everyone had already gone, like you could feel that room get lighter.
Yep.
Which was pretty like you can feel the anxiety that people have.
It's really interesting, man.
It's harnessed differently, too. But, like, you can definitely tell. And, like, you have some guys that sit there, and they're quiet, and they're waiting. And there is no indicator of, like, how these people are going to do based on their anxiety either, just so everyone knows, because everyone deals with it differently. But, like, you have people that are sitting there. You have people that are just going. Like, I like to just warm up. I do 30 minutes. I try to do 20 to 30 minutes, and I try to bring my heart rate up to like 160 and hold it there for however long the match is going to be.
Right.
And so I'll just hold at 160. So I'll wear my heart rate monitor and I'll do my warm up. I'll bring it up. I'll hold it 160 for 6 minutes, and then we'll cool it down. And then we'll do that again. We do it for about 30 minutes total. And then that. I try to be done about 30 minutes before the match.
I think that's dude. Interesting.
That helps me.
Yeah, well, that helps me too. And this is what I tell all my students. And at the Copa Elite, I told them this at the Copa Virginia a couple weeks later, a month later, whatever, like 2 weeks ago. Shout out to District Martial Arts who won both the 2024 gi and no gi team titles at Copa.
Congratulations.
Thanks, man. But yeah, you're right, man. To me that's the best way to cut through all the angst. And this does get easier the more you do it. And like in those environments with folks who perhaps haven't competed as much as me, it's easy to say. It might still be kind of hard for them to do, but like it does get more and more manageable. Like you said, in those rooms, like you can also tell when you're in a room full of competitors, whether it's like, I see this all the time. Oh, maybe because like when the Copa Elite venue, it's the same venue as Cagezilla. So I've been in that room, I don't even know, dozens of times.
Yeah.
Between like going with our MMA fighters, going there for my own super fights, coaching for Copas. You can see when the more like the veterans are a lot more comfortable than some of the newer guys. But you're right, that room is like it's in the air. It's funny. Like it's very interesting. You're right. The room feels anxious. It gets easier, right? Anyways, but yeah, to your point, the warm up is like the best way to cut the anxiety almost. I don't want to say completely. For some people, it might be completely. For me, it kind of did, but again, like I have a process for it. So it's like, for what it's worth, like when you have these, when you have this sort of involuntary central nervous system response, if you have a routine for it, you're like, I have a solution to this quote unquote problem, it gets easier because I'm like, I just got to get to my warm up. I got to do this. I got to do that. But
and I know for some people, like, and just as goes all the way back to wrestling time, for some people they would just like nap, and that would take care of it for them. Like,
a lot of laying around.
It definitely comes down to like what your process is, and so
my process is pretty similar to yours, different, but it's the same goal with the same latent period of like sitting around after you've elevated your heart rate, and then at that point, so I'll continue because I think it connects to all these things. And again, albeit this is slightly more towards like the way IBJJF like segments the stages of you moving towards your mat for match time. But like you, I do mine about like 45-ish minutes before my first match is scheduled. And this time I did 3 5-minute rounds like you. I'm going to end like my third round of my warm-up. I do 3 5-minute rounds. My matches for my division are 5 minutes. That last one, I'm going to basically elevate my heart rate the entire time to where I feel like, and this is what I tell people, I want you to have the first match before your first match. So I want as a competitor, or when I'm coaching my guys, I want them to be tired. Like, I want you to feel fatigue.
You're looking to get past that adrenaline dump, right?
That's what it is.
So that they don't have that freeze up moment at the start.
That's what it is. And also, like, just to be like very like specific. So like my first 5-minute round was very light, basically like stretching, just kind of getting the body moving, almost like a warm up to the warm up. And then after that one, I think I might have even done like a 90 second to 2 minute like rest period. Second round was a like mid range, move a little bit, still some stretching, some lighter movement, but like I'm starting to move a little bit more, and I'm wearing sweats. Like I'm trying to like get a little. I want to break a bit of a sweat too. Again, thinking if I can just like hit a natural sweat. This isn't. I was going to do it anyways, but if it helps shed off another half pound or something, just in case I'm over, or it allows me to keep hydrating, I'll do that. And so the second round, like I said, a little bit more mobility. It's more like a 5, 6 out of 10. Final rounds like 7, 8, 9 out of 10. Like, we're gonna go like fast as hell. I try to do movements that are not necessarily sport specific, mixed in with some. It's probably like 60-40, just general. Like I'll do sprints, I'll do jog, I do like sit ups, body weight squats or lunges, push ups, just to hit like basically every major muscle group and joint section. So all my joints are loose. I don't want stiff joints. I don't want to. Like part of the reason why you have these impulses is because like there's like this fear. Like, am I gonna go get like my leg broken? Right, and like you can mitigate a lot of this shit. Number one, you can tap out in a fucking tournament. Yeah. But you can also like there's the things you can control and things you can't control, and the more you do it, you realize you actually have control of quite a lot. And the things you don't control, you just learn to be like, I'm not going to control like any freak shit that's going to happen in this match. So like you stop caring about it, and that gets to the heart of like any like nerves that you feel. It just becomes easier because you're like, I know what I can control, and if I do a good job at my routine that I alluded to earlier, warm up, I'm going to mitigate so much risk already and be more prepared to stay in control when I'm in the match. Thus, like I feel confident and I don't feel as nervous. But final match or final warm up round. Yeah, so I'm like running fast. I'm doing my body weight squats, and I'm trying to keep my activity meter pretty high. So at 5 minutes, I'm tired, dude. I'll do some stance in motion, some wrestling, because like that's my sport specific stuff. Like I'll drop into my stance, I'll move around. Stance in motion drills always kind of like get my heart rate going, anyways. because maybe it's because like you're just like you're low in your stance, like you're practicing your shots, you're doing your down blocks, but like it's also like you're kind of like in a half squat for like however long you're doing that.
You're holding like an isometric,
and your core is moving around, so like you're just like it'll get you tired. So I do all that, and then I have about a half an hour before my division starts, and I go over. Once I've done that, I just go over to see the board to see if my name is on the IBJJF. If your name's on the board, you go up, you make weight. You can wait if you're overweight, you can, but I know I'm not. So like as soon as I'm in there, I want to weigh and get it done so then I can hydrate. If your name's
on the board, that means
you
could get bumped up at any moment because if one match is held up, then they might move you up pretty quick. So.
That's right. Yeah, so I do all that, and I'm warm. I sit down, and then so I probably sat for like 3 to 5 minutes to bring my heart down, just chill. Sip a little bit of water or whatever, maybe some Gatorade. I walk over, name's on the board, so I do this, and there's a line of people, everyone else, like they took like a break between, they ended gi, they're getting ready to start no gi, and so there's like this like slight, I don't know if it's like a staff thing or they give like the...
Yeah, they do an intermission.
Like, it's a small intermission.
Like take lunch
it's like 10 minutes or something, yeah. So I sat there for a minute, go make weight, and it's fun. There's like 2 dudes in front of me waiting in line to make weight, and one of them was like, one of them goes into the registration process. He shows his ID, they check his nails, and they check his uniform, all that typical stuff. He walks up to the official scale, and he's over. And he's like, he's like 0.8 pounds over. And he's like telling us, like he's like, hey, FYI guys, like that official scale, I was like 2.2 under. This one I'm 0.8 over. So in that part, I'm like, oh, I hope I figured my shit out well if this is the case. It had to have been user error on his part, because I got up there, I made weight, and I was like 160 point something. I was actually a little bit under where I needed to be.
He was touching the table when he used the check scale.
Yeah, who knows? But I got there, I made weight. I'm like, all right, cool, bet. Like now I can drink some water or whatever. In my head, I was like, okay, good to know. Like, I mean, I usually go into these tournaments, and when I actually weigh in, I'm still in the high 50s. So this was still one of the heaviest I've been. Credit to the work that me and Asim have been doing to keep that on track, to keep my weight high, nice and lean, but just like as fed as I need to be. Anyways,
not to derail this real quick, but do you? Because I have this issue where I shed a lot of weight unintentionally before tournaments, just from like. I don't know. I just like inherently don't eat as much the weeks leading up.
I know exactly what you mean.
Is that an issue you used to have?
Yeah, you have to work to actually. It's funny. I think it's probably not a bad thing. It's like you wanting to be on weight.
Yeah.
So it's like part of this process is like reminding myself, I'm like, no man, you can eat, you can drink, and you should, because again, like my goal, and this is something me and Asim are working out, and like I've been doing this with Mark and with the team. Like this has been a job that I've been trying to accomplish for a long time. My goal is to be at the very top of the scale, right? When I go to weigh in. And that's the ideal situation. So yeah, dude, like you have to like, it's like almost like the work is like tricking yourself into being like, no, it's okay to eat. It's okay to drink. Like you can do this stuff. Part of the challenge is that you don't know what like I brought my scale. I'm basically reconciling 3 different scales to figure out where I'm at. It's like my scale, the official, unofficial, the unofficial, official scale, the check scale, which is like good usually. And what I discovered when I finally got to the official, the actual scale that matters was I was A-okay. I was under a little bit. So it worked out. But yeah, dude, so go up there, do that. I'm sitting in the bullpen, and at that point, like, I'm just like, no, now I see my guys. Now I see my opponents. I'm like, all right, there's the first round. First round, dude, there's the guy who I anticipate I'll see in the finals that I mentioned earlier. Everyone's checked in. I'm like, all right, game on. We're doing this. And I'm just sitting there, man. At that point, like, I'm warm. I'm still wearing my sweatshirt. At that point, I'm just like, all right, let's just stay warm. Body feels good. I'm hydrating. I don't want to, like, pound. I don't want to, like, be so, like, I don't want to bloat up before the match by just, like, chugging drinks. But I'm, like, sipping on it. So I'm like, all right, cool. Like, I'm definitely not dehydrated. I've got plenty of liquid here after, like, the first and second. There was only 2, there's 4 guys in my bracket. So it was only really going to be 2 matches to get the gold. So it's like, all right, I have basically one interim period where, like, I just need to hydrate after that match so I still feel good for the finals. And then after the finals, like, job's done. Win, lose, whatever. Like, at that point, I can eat and drink whatever the fuck I want. But it's that critical in-between period. I want to perform my 2 matches as best as I can. So I'm, like, calculating how much liquid I have, and I'm like, all right, I think I'm all good. So I'm sitting there, and the usual this and that. We go, me and my first opponent, we walk up there. Dude's good, and I hit him with an arm drag pretty early, take him down, and then fought him from his guard for basically the rest of the match. Got a couple advantages on submission threats and pass threats, but he defended my offense from there. But it was the takedown. Shout out to wrestling. We've done that so many times. Like if you've done your homework. And it usually takes I say your homework, it's like this needs to be part of your routine, probably for years if you want to be very confident in your stand-up game. But I have done that, and I do feel confident. So, we have our match. After our match, I watch my opponent went first. So, my opponent, the guy who ends up winning the other division, who I was expecting to win, he competed before me, and dude's, like I said, he's very good. I watched him in his first round, and he has this very interesting confident stance. He's very confident in his wrestling, I suppose, because he stands upright. And
super upright.
He stands and not only does he stand upright, but he pushes his leg forward as though he's baiting you. He's like, "Hey, come on, take this single leg," and he does it with his first guy. And the first guy won't go for the takedown, so he just switches his stance and then fast shoots in for a single and blasts this dude, takes him down. So I'm like, all right, cool. Well, he's probably pretty good. He's got this almost bravado to not really caring that he's upright in his initial stance, where he's baiting the other guy in, and then he just quickly changes into a low stance, shoots, scores. I'm like, all right, so he's fucking good. So in my head, I'm like, all right, I'm not. And I know the rest of his match, he has a very good top knee cut pressure. He gets in, uses his frame. I do this too, so I'm familiar with how effective that weight distribution once you've gotten a takedown is keeping a dude confined. It's burying your hips in your frame and maybe your forehead to just push a dude into the mat.
Yeah, just collapsing the space.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I'm all right, so I don't want to be on my back with this guy. I want to do basically what he's doing to this dude. So in my head, I'm all right, this dude looks pretty tough. I'm still confident in my wrestling. I'm just not gonna as soon as this match starts, I'm gonna fucking run after this dude. I want him to be the target. I don't want to be the target.
Keep him on his heels.
And in my head, I was like, look, I will shoot for a single leg on that leg. I know he's baiting me, but I will go for it, and I will fight. If he lets me have it, I'm going to take that fucking leg. So that's his problem. But I'm not just going to sit there and, question my wrestling while he does that. I'm like, oh, should I not do it? Should I do it? I don't know. Why is he doing this? I'm like, I'm going for that motherfucking, leg. But, all right, yeah, so I win my first match. Conditioning felt good. Strength felt good. I felt like I was in control of the whole thing. I have tons of notes on what I want to do to improve my performance in situations like that. I want to keep working for subs. So I have some homework to do there because I did not submit this guy. He was good though. He's a tough guy. He just defended well, but nonetheless, that's some homework I'm going to do to keep improving my performances. But in between matches, I have about 10 minutes. So like I said, match ends. I sit back, go back to the bullpen. I'm drinking more water. Me and the guy in the finals were sitting there. We go, hey, cool dude, by the way. Very this is when you get to Masters, everyone's very we've got our 5 minutes, so we're gonna dog it out in the fight. So everyone's I find in this age group that we're in, the egos are far more in check now because it's we're just gonna go out and beat the shit out of each other no matter what. Anyways, we're going to be Brody on the mat. So. He's we walk up. We're not talking to each other before the match, but as we walk up, he's like, "Hey, good match, man." I was like, "Yeah, you too." One of those. So he's like, "I thought it was really good." I was impressed. All right, right on, brother.
Yeah, once you get out of the adult division, you start.
Yeah, you get that young man silly shit. It's just a job. You're gonna do. We're gonna do our jobs. It's cool. He wants to win. I want to win. I know that. Let's whatever.
It's this isn't a rivalry, bro. We're gonna go out there. We're gonna do our thing, and then when we're done, we'll chat it up again.
That's right. And also, like I said, this dude, he's he knows himself as a man. He's won a lot of shit. He's an accomplished grappler, so he's like, fuck it, man. We're gonna let's have a good match. Basically, is what it is. We go out there, and so he does. He hits me with his stance, and I'm like, all right. I in my head, I was like, I want him to not just go in with his lead leg. It was his left leg that he steps forward and kind of leaves out. And I'm in my head, I know exactly how I want to attack this single leg, and I want him to collar tie, and I want to snap down the collar tie, punch it up, and then shoot in. I just want to clear the arm so I don't get counter guillotine, because I'd looked at some of his matches and he's pretty slick at counter guillotining off of people going in on that. That's why he baits it amongst other things, right? So I do that almost right away, and I shoot in pretty, like, I get in deep on the leg. He responds quickly. He whizzers, pulls me up, and he defends it well is what I'm saying. But I let him know right away, I'm like, I'm going to attack you. So, like, you keep doing this. Like, this isn't going to work for you. I've also watched his matches, and he's willing to pull guard, too. He's good at everything. Like, he's good every direction. So he's comfortable pulling. He's comfortable standing. Like, in my head, I'm like, all right, like, I'm either going to take him down.
That sounds like a dangerous guy.
He's very good, man. No, our match was fucking nasty. Like, it was actually an awesome match. Like, he made me stay sharp as fuck the entire time. Anyways, but I wanted to get into his head. I'm like, hey, if we stand up, brother, like, I'm coming after you. So I basically was thinking to myself, like, I want to send a message to this guy. Either he knows I'm going to attack him, and it's going to be a stand-up fight, or I'm going to convince him that it's in his interest to pull guard, and that's, I want to be on top either way. So however this works, I want him on his back. Remember, I said I don't want to be on my back. So yeah. He whizzers, he pulls me back up. He tries to counter right away intelligently with a shot of his own, maybe trying to tell me the same thing. Maybe he's like, hey, bitch, like, I'll shoot on you too. So he does, but I defend it really well. I sprawl back, and then, so like, as I sprawl, like, my weight drops, right? And I'm coming back up. And so as I'm coming back up, he pulls really well underneath me. I sink just low enough to hit his legs before his legs can go under me, and he can't elevate me, right? Which I'd looked this up, but that during the match, it was obviously most evident because, like, now I'm experiencing it. Watching a dude is one thing. Experiencing this motherfucker fight you is another. But it was good guard pull, but I, like, just had stopped him with my descent to keep him from elevating and springing underneath me, which was what he basically tried to do for the remainder of the match. At this point, it's 0-0, right? Like, there's no points or anything. And quite frankly, relatively neutral in terms of, like, who's dictating, because, like, if nothing happens, it's the referee, in theory, the IBJJF messes this up all the time, but, like, what they should be doing is they should be paying attention to who's attacking the most, who's leading the match, because if nothing else happens, the referee's going to go with the guy, he's going to raise your hand, whoever was the most offensive and aggressive guy, which is appropriate.
And sometimes they'll even throw an advantage just to
tip
someone at the very end, just to tip the scale.
Luckily,
so it'll have to be a decision.
Yeah, no, 100%. And, like, dude, when we were in the Virginia Open, like, I saw some very fucked up decisions. That
Head judge table was very active at the Virginia Open.
Yeah, but they were getting a lot.
We'll get to that.
Someone was, like, a lot of Karens going to management, myself included. But anyways, yeah, dude. But, like, I mean, actually, I'm gonna give them a shout out because my referee was actually, I thought, like, really good. He called it well. Like, and I've had luck with the IBJJF for the most part. I've had some terrible things too, but for the most part, most of my experience, I don't know, maybe when they're, like, with black belts, they find they have to be a little bit more accountable. I don't know if it's that, but I actually mostly get good referee experiences when I'm there.
I've been lucky enough to basically have the same referee for every single match.
That's funny.
Which has been pretty great.
That's funny.
So I've got a rapport.
Yeah, hey, it's me again, dude. Yeah. Like, please do a good job.
I'm like, hey, can you please call bottom stalling for me?
Yeah, bro. It's the least you can do. But anyways, I bring this up because at this point, it's like, in terms of, like, who's dictating, it's relatively neutral. Like, I fire at him, he fires back, it's defended. He pulls, I sit down. You don't really get anything for pulling, but it's like, all right, my opponent's, like, he's setting up offense. He's not idle. Again, he's experienced. He knows what he's doing. He knows he's got, like, 4 minutes and 45 seconds left, or whatever it is, like 4 minutes, maybe 10 seconds left. Like, he's got to make some shit happen. So he's going for it. Like, I'm sitting in his guard, I'm stacking his legs, and I'm, like, threatening passes the entire time. I'm bringing my weight forward, like we talked about. I'm driving into him to keep him in as defensive of a position as long as I possibly can. So any offense he presents me, it's weakened. He's going for a lot of, like, he's doing a lot of, like, knee shield to, like, and he was taller than me, right? So he has a decent reach. Like, he's got enough range that he was trying to go over and grab my head a bunch of times, which I was also doing to him. I was, like, snapping his head and grabbing his fucking head from my guard because I have a lot of offense off of that. And but none of my initial attacks were significant. Only they were more of, it's like, we're signaling to each other, like, yo, Mike, there's barbed wire here. He's like, yeah, well, there's barbed wire here. Like, we're basically telling each other, like, I'll attack you, you'll attack me. If you move forward here, it's going to be hard. And same thing, back and forth. It's pretty neutral at this point. We're doing this for a few minutes. He has this really slick thing that he does, which I was like, in the match, I was like, yo, like, what is this? I need to defend it. Which is, like, again, because of his height advantage, he would, like, keep me on his right knee shield And I wanted to be there, so it was sort of like I'm participating in perhaps a trap a little bit. It's also my offense, so it's a very interesting balance, right? I'm driving into his knee shield, but what he's doing with his other leg is he's flattening. He's like almost like kicking it to the mat so he can use his length to scoop under me to get to my other leg. So he's got to balance like left, right, and center offensive strategy. He's like trying to get to my right arm on my right side. That's where the knee shield is. He's trying to overhook and then get to my neck. Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm stopping all of it, and I'm every time he does it, I'm kind of peppering in a little bit of threat at him too. Like I'm firing back at his head. I'm unhooking his shoulder. So on that side, he's starting to think like, all right, this side's kind of closed off. So he starts doing this left side leg extension where he can scoop under, and he gets under my leg a couple times, but I stop it before he can do anything with it. So he's telling me, he's like, oh, I'm going to go to your left side.
Like he's trying to put a butterfly hook in with it?
Even deeper than that, almost like a deep half kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah,
he would like flatten his leg and kind of like, if my hips are here, he's trying to like get under and then scoop me. But he would get there, and I would either get here, I'd just kind of move my butt back to stay below the knee line, and I'd like push down his hand. I'd pin his wrist to the mat, and I had, shout out to Asim again, I felt like I had a good grip advantage. I had like a strength advantage. This guy was strong too, but I was like, all right, I can stop what he's doing, and then create time for myself to start assaulting him, and I'm winning most of the grip fights. I'm winning most of the strength fights, but he's busy. That's just one of the many assets athletically you can leverage, and his credit to him, like his cardio, his conditioning, his aggression, like he was not going to stop. So I'd win these things, and I think that was one of the keys to the victory was like my ability to kind of like just freeze him out with a good strong grip that stopped his offense and allowed me opportunities to start firing on my own. So we do that for like a minute or two. It's still neutral, man. Like in my head, I'm like, I gotta do something. I gotta score. I gotta make some shit happen because like it's pretty balanced at this point. We're going back and forth. Yeah, I'm on top, but in my head, there's always that question. I'm like, I don't know what these referees are gonna do. Like I have to fire. I'm going. So I'm like threatening my guard pass. I got a couple like I threatened like some chest to chest from that semi half guard situation. I wasn't quite able to establish it.
Yeah, you weren't dropped past the knee yet.
No, I wasn't. But he came forward aggressive, like, cause he's thinking the same thing I'm thinking. He's like, I got to do something, and he's on his back, so he's like, he leans forward heavy, and I grab his fucking head. Now I have a bite, like I have a good bite, guillotine style grip, and I step over to my left. I'm angling around his legs, which like at this point I have such a deep grip on his chin that I'm like, all right, I have a real guillotine opportunity here. So there's a submission threat, followed by a positional advantage. If that somehow goes awry, like I'm able to create an angle off of him having to focus on defending his neck. I'm able to maneuver around elbows and knees to then get in and either pass, get to mount, get to a front headlock or whatever. We scramble from there. We go to front headlock. And I'm still in the guillotine. I'm threatening the guillotine a lot. Like I'm trying to step over and like really push through to see if I can't submit him here. And this probably takes us 30, 45 seconds of maybe like 20, 30 seconds, but like enough. This ends up being the most significant salvo of the whole match. This is what gets me the win on the guillotine threat. And I'm like I'm driving into it now. I'm like I'm like hip driving in, thinking like, all right, I'm gonna fucking squeeze this dude's head. Maybe I'll submit him. Like pretty quickly, he's actually I can sense that he's defending it pretty well. And so when we go to front headlock, I'm thinking like, all right, I do this all the time. I'm gonna set up my go behind from here. I'm gonna attack the side, and I'm gonna get to his back. And so I go for this setup, and he like moves his hips, and like maybe it's a height advantage, probably bad execution on my part, just to be a little nitpicky on myself. But I don't get my go behind. But in the go behind, he tilts over to his hip, right? He goes to defend it. He sits over, and I step over to almost mount from there, and I'm still clean grip, not arm in, clean grip on his neck. When he sits back as I'm attacking mount now, his head slips out. So he gets out of this trap. And again, this has been like 30 seconds. I end up getting the advantage for the guillotine, and I get advantage for almost mount, or guard pass, whatever you want to call it. 2 advantage points. 2 advantage points at this point. Now we're looking at, it's like a minute, 40 seconds left. And honestly, I didn't even know I had the advantage at that point. Like I'm like this, like it's competitive, right? So like I have to fully I can't look over at the board. I got to look at this motherfucker, right? He's still firing, man. And then so there's like a probably 20, 35 second period there where he keeps attacking, and he's staying busy. But we're getting into a phase now where I'm like grabbing, like we're still hand fighting. It kind of goes back to like the same knee. What would you call it? Like knee shield / like half guard that I'm laying on his leg, and he's trying to dive under, but it's stuck. his attacks are becoming less potent. Maybe I'm just getting better at defending them. He's done it like 7 times now. And so now I'm like...
maybe you're getting used to it.
I'm used to it. I'm seeing it coming, so I'm stopping it. And I feel like the hand fighting, I'm like, did I break this guy? Is he going to give up now? He doesn't. By the way, dude is good, man. Like, I mean, shout out to the guy. Like, I don't know if he's going to hear this, but if he does, like, credit to him. It was a really good match. But I'm like, for a second there, and I'm like, maybe, I mean, like, we're both tired. Like, this was basically a 5-minute sprint. We're just going, both of us full clip the entire time. This is no lull in the activity. But I'm like, I'm feeling kind of tired, but I still feel good. Like, I still feel like I got juice left. I'm like, I've got 90 seconds. I'm just going to, like, I've been through this so many times. I'm just going to fucking die if I have to. I'm going to move as fast as possible to win this match. And then also in my head, I was like, all right, like, he feels like his offense is starting to weaken a little bit for a moment, but it didn't weaken after that. He kept going. Again, credit to him. But it kind of slows down, and it's like potency. Maybe in his head, he's thinking, I got to adjust my strategy. That's probably what it is. Maybe he's probably a little less
flipping some switches.
Yes, I think he's thinking. You're right. I think he's like, all right, dude, like, I've got like a minute 20 now. Time's not on my side is what he's thinking, and like I have to call an audible, which is a good position for me to be in. Yeah. Because now he's changing things up because he has to.
He might even have known. He's like,
no, he knew.
He knew about the advantage, or had an idea of it. I probably gave up to some.
There was a reset at that point. Like, we're on the edge of the match, and like we both can now see. Like, I see him up 2 advantages. Yeah. And he sees that too. And so again, like, that's when I was like, after that, I thought I broke him. He starts picking it up again. I'm like, no, he ain't done yet.
I know.
He's not quitting. I mean, at this point, and like I said, all the analysis I've seen of this guy, I'm like, this guy's too game. He's not going to quit. He's just like, I'm gonna have to just beat this guy. So there's probably like another 25 seconds of that. Like, last bit of the match, he tries to guillotine me one more time. He does that, lean forward, grab. He gets like a semi-arm in kind of overhook grip. I defend it, and I'm stepping back to defend it, and he stands up. Now we're like 20 seconds left. And in my head, I'm like, nice. Now it's a wrestling match. We got 20 seconds. Every wrestling class I go to at District Martial Arts, I feel like I'm going to die almost every round. And I still have to wrestle, so I'm like, dude, I've been through this so many times. I'm going to win this last 20 seconds. There's no way. I'm like, I'm too used to being tired as fuck in this situation.
Yeah, that's the game, right?
But that's
the drill.
We get up, and like I said, last 20 seconds, he shoots in, and I sprawl with a deep front headlock again. And we're at the edge of the match, and this is, like I said, 20 seconds. I guess that whole sequence of him shooting, me sprawling, holding on the edge of the match, and like I'm like gripping his chin again. His arm is in, and like I just have this. He bases up, so I don't really have a go behind opportunity. Extend his height advantage. He creates some elevation there just to make sure I don't score, but he's also losing time now. So we do all that. The referee resets with like 4 seconds left. We reset in the center. Bang, one more time. He shoots. Game over. I win. We knuckle it up. I'm tired. My lungs are like, I'm like, but I like that feeling. I'm like, all right, cool, man. I only had 2 matches, but it's kind of a cool feeling to be like, yo, like, we had 2 matches. But I got my money's worth. He got his money's worth. Like, we dogged it out.
Everybody looks good at the end.
Well, I was trying to keep. I was like poker facing it so much. I'm like trying to contain how fatigued I felt. It was a good feeling. It's like a good fatigue. It's like, yo, man. Like, all right, that's what I wanted. I want to go out there and like have like a hard fought day. Really feel like I earned what I got, which that was how I felt.
No, you don't want to look tired for the hand raised photos either.
No, yeah,
you got to
exactly.
look appropriately tired.
After the match, though, it's like okay, so we walk off the mat, arm is raised like you said, nice. Everyone's I'm happy, yippee, and I do sit down for like I probably like an extra 2 minutes, like right by the scoreboard. I'm like, yeah, all right, I'll sit for a second and drink some water, and so I'm doing that. I stand up and he's waiting for me afterwards. He's like, yo, man, that was an awesome match. We shoot the shit a little bit, podium picks, all that. I get the hell out of there. See my sister and my nieces again. I give them the gold medal to play around. They were excited, which was awesome. It was really cool. Eat some steak with them. They cooked me steak, which was lovely. I know.
Shout out Big Steak.
Shout out, again, Big Steak. Big Steak. Maybe Butcher Box. Remember those guys?
Yeah, I remember them.
There's a bunch of other steaks.
We should call them.
We could. There's a bunch of other steak. People hucking steaks online now, all kinds of
We'll find a good one. We'll let you guys know.
I love that.
We'll find Scott's new favorite.
Oh man, yeah, that would be a match made in heaven. But yeah, dude, did that, and then that was Sunday. Got my ass out of there Monday morning. End communique on IBJJF Chicago. It was good. It was and I got a bunch of text messages of support and excitement from all the friends, all the homies at District Martial Arts. Asim was all over it. Apparently, Asim said a dude who was up in the DC area, or who was from the DC area but is also there, saw the match, saw some Instagram posts, and then DM'd him afterwards. Like a friend of Nakapan's, I think, or High Noons. Like a couple of those guys. Yeah, hit him up, man.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, nice, cool. Well, didn't know that was gonna happen, but like, thumbs up, man. Happy to hear it.
Yeah, I was
Give my guy some business. I like that.
On that Saturday, I was actually over there hanging out with Asim, and he's like, "Man, Dance has been messaging me asking me if you should work out on the Saturday before."
Yeah, well,
He was like, "Dude's crazy."
I guess so.
Yeah, man. One, congratulations.
Thanks.
I know I told you off air.
Thanks,
already,
man. Yeah,
but,
of course.
But yeah, I mean, it's really cool, and like, there's definitely takeaways for people on like the warm ups, like that anxiety stuff. Like, find the method for you. Like, that definitely is good. Yeah.
The better that is, the better your warm up is, and like you said, whatever your protocols are for just like dealing with like pre-match. Let's call it preparation, and then like understanding if you're feeling nervous is like part of preparation. Just being ready for it. The better you're gonna do when you get out there. Like, you just want to like it'll get to where it feels normal, and that's why you have the first match before your first match, so that like you're not hesitant, you're not stiff, and like I don't want my joints to be stiff. I've gone into professional jiu-jitsu matches with stiff joints, and I've gotten injured. Remember Metamoris?
Oh yeah,
dude.
Where you tore your knee up?
Yeah, bro. Fuck that.
That was in the Metamoris. Was that the?
That was the finals.
That was the finals. Yeah.
In LA. Anyways, yeah, like that has happened to me, which didn't like that. So yeah, dude, it's like I've had to learn the hard way.
Yeah.
I've had to learn. That's probably the hardest way to learn, getting injured like within like 25 seconds. But the lesser hard ways is just going out there not feeling good and getting beat.
Yeah.
Which like
it's
for sure not that big of a deal, but
I mean, you want to
feel still like yeah, you want to do your best.
You want to lose at your best for sure. Like, you don't want to go out there and you don't want to feel like I left some shit on the table. Like,
yeah,
I wasn't ready.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's a difference between like authentically like making a mistake you didn't know you made until afterwards, and that's why people do these. That's why you go compete, so you can like learn this shit, and that's why you surround yourself with like either more experienced competitors, with coaches. They're gonna help you with this, like with the data, the wisdom to get you prepared. But if like there's always gonna be like blind spots, so you want to take them. But there's a difference between a blind spot and or knowing you kind of left something undone. That's where you got to hold yourself accountable.
I'd rather make the mistake on the mat than make a mistake before I get on the mat.
True.
Like, because then that's just, hey, I made a mistake trying to do something. The guy capitalized on it.
Right.
I would take that any day over, man, I just didn't do warm-ups today.
And I knew I should have.
I should have.
Yeah, that's
so
you choosing to fuck up.
Cold.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
that's
exactly.
That's definitely a worse feeling than like, oh, I went out there, I was working, I thought I had something, I didn't have it.
Right.
The guy capitalized, I lost. Like, I'd take that over going out cold any day.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, I remember just on like a little closing remark here, like I recently last year got back into competing after a pretty long hiatus from competition. And like, we used to compete a lot. And I didn't remember being nervous before, like outside of maybe like a couple times where it was like some super fights where it was last minute changes. But for the most part, like I remember we would just go to a tournament, we'd weigh in, everything was great, get out there, get at it, boom. Like, you have a little bit of nervousness, but like we were always warming up, like going through the process. But like definitely getting back into it last year, going to like, some locals and to IBJJF versus getting back to this year and like those first couple tournaments back into it, doing a local tournament and then IBJJF, like I was definitely more nervous last year. Just getting back because I hadn't competed in so long. I'd only been like in that mode for like 6 months again. And like the first one, pretty much nervous like the whole time. Nerves. I was competing in absolutes and I went up weight and up to the black belt division because that's all I could get in the local. And then for IBJJF, I was like, oh shit, like I'm back in the game again, and wasn't too bad, but like I just wasn't quite mentally prepared for that yet again. But I mean, went out first day, got third, then went out and like that went out for the no-gi day and won gold, and like that flipped it again. And I was like, I still got this.
Yep. You gotta calibrate yourself a little bit.
Yeah,
right? You gotta especially if you've had time off. You gotta you gotta almost relearn some stuff that you know. You just kind of have to experience it.
Yeah, and like coming back into this year, and so I've competed twice this year already, and like both times it was like the switch flipped, and like I remembered how to do it again. I remembered what I need to do, with the exception of the super fight, which I was just nervous the day of, just waiting.
Right.
But like I knew I was gonna make weight. I had originally been planning on a 145 match. I think I ended up having to take a 155 or 150 match.
So you went up a little bit.
I had to go up. I think it was 155. So I wasn't really worried about weight, but like I'm not good at eating when I'm before a match.
Yeah. So you probably went in lighter than.
I was at 145 because I was already planning.
Okay.
We nailed down the opponent at like a week before or something. And I had been sick the week before too, leading up to it. I was sick.
That's right, dude.
I was sick. Then I
and didn't you have like a fucked up hand or something, dude?
I sliced my. I actually it was still cut. It was still open the day of.
So there are always elements you have to overcome.
I wasn't worried about it.
Yeah, there you go.
But like, I mean, definitely, because like the week before, I was like fucking on it. But like it after that, like game changed, right? Mm-hmm. And so you get your flow back, you get back into it, and then it's all game from there. Like I'm not. You become not worried about it again. So like, yeah, you find it again, and so like there is definitely that anxiety, that system, what your warm up is. That's all stuff that you figure out as you compete more, and the more like battle tested you become with it, and you'll find your system. Yeah, we'll talk more about this on further future episodes. This was a pretty big one, so we're going to wrap it for today. So yeah, thanks for listening to Fighters Drinking Coffee. Couple things, we'll throw it in the show notes. Get on that Discord. We're trying to work on getting some stuff on there for you guys. We still have some plans in the future for some maybe some cool like value adds for you guys. We're still working out the exact details on that, but hint, there might be some like pretty low cost Patreon type stuff that might be coming down the pipe, but we're trying to figure out the details before we launch anything. And then hit the socials, follow on wherever you're listening to the podcast, hit follow. That way you get that downloaded to your phone or wherever you're listening, like when we launch. Follow the socials, like, subscribe, hit those reviews. Those actually help us with the algorithm. That helps us get to more people. So 5-star review, even if you hate it, message us on, comment on our socials and tell us we suck. I don't care. And one last thing. You might notice some upgrades to the sound today. We caught some issues with our hardware on the last episode, so sorry you guys lost out on some content there. And we're working on that. So we'll have that fixed up for you guys. Again, Fighters Drinking Coffee, Scott and Mike. Peace.
Love ya.